Yo, what is up everybody? It's Dynamic here and welcome back to another MLW video. Now in today's video, we are going to be talking about the craziness that's ensued in Slate 5 for MLW and more specifically, what it has done to the Metro Magic. Because if you don't know, through the last two slates, the Magic just not being there really destroyed their playoff hopes and they don't really have a big chance of making the playoffs. We will get into that later in this video, but before we start, I do want to say, if you're not yet, please subscribe. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers, and also I will link my Instagram below in the comments if you guys are interested in that. But without further ado, let's talk about how the Magic don't deserve to make the playoffs. So I get it, don't deserve is a pretty strong word, but I want to go into a season recap of the Metro Magic because their season looked pretty good at the beginning. Obviously, they lost the first slate to the Pacific Predators 2-1, but after that they were able to win two series back-to-back, 2-1, 2-1 again, so it gave them a 5-4 record at the All-Star break. All they need to do now was finish relatively strong and they would make the playoffs. But in Slate 4, they didn't have players show up and they lost to the Cobras in that out-of-state series. All they had was John Paul Gunn, AJ Ackerman, Jordan Curdy, and RJ Walgate, so they didn't have the full team. They were missing their manager and their two best hitters in Brady Pearson and Grant Miller. Then they play the Mallards in Slate 5. It's the same story with a different font. This time Brady Pearson and Jack Agner are there, but now they don't have, once again, Grant Miller and also Jordan Curdy, Trevor Bonham, who hadn't been there all season, and most importantly John Paul Gunn, who has been there the entire season, just got into a car accident, which is really unfortunate for him. So in no way am I blaming him. I'm just stating the facts that those players weren't there and they once again lost the series 2-1. So if you don't know how the seeding works, this puts the Magic in an incredibly difficult spot, because they're in a three-way tie with the Wildcats and in a three-way tie with the Predators, and both of those teams they don't have the tiebreaker to. They lost to the Predators in that Slate 1 series, and then obviously the Wildcats beat the Predators, and even though the Magic and Wildcats didn't play each other, since the Cats beat the Predators, they also have the tiebreaker over the Metro Magic. And now this is really unfortunate for the Magic because there's only really one real possibility where they are able to get into the playoffs, and we'll talk about that right now. So I am going to leave up this graphic the whole time during this segment so I can kind of walk through what I'm talking about, but the last series to be played is the Eagles versus the Cobras. And as you can see, there's only one scenario where the Metro Magic make the playoffs, and it's if the Cobras win the series 2-1, which in my opinion isn't super likely. I think the Eagles will win the series either 3-0 or 2-1, which will put the Metro Magic and the Coastal Cobras out. Now a lot of you guys might be wondering, well, look at that last column, Metro Magic and the Eagles out. Well, normally the Magic would have been in, but since they lost that out-of-state series to the Cobras, they are out even if the Cobras sweep. Magic fans such as myself now have to kind of root for this really weird scenario where the Cobras somehow win the series without sweeping, which if you know what the Coastal Cobras roster looks like right now, that's just not super likely, and it really sucks because the Metro Magic had a team that was going to go out and potentially compete for a championship before the season started, depending at the way you were looking at this roster during the offseason. I want to focus this segment on why this is happening. Why did the Magic all of a sudden fall off a cliff? And it's honestly not that complicated of a reason in my opinion. We've seen it in MLW before, but I don't think we've seen it to this bad of a degree where a team just kind of falls off a cliff because players will not show up. And that is the truth behind this team. Let me start out by saying I get it. The reason these players were gone were completely understandable. The first guy that you have to look at though is Grant Miller. I mean, he's this team's best player through and throughout. I guess RJ Walgate, pretty debatable, but it's not debatable that Grant Miller is this team's best hitter. After the Diamondback series, he announced he probably wouldn't be playing MLW again this season because he was having his second kid. That is a completely understandable reason. In no way am I saying that one of these players should or should not be there. I'm just directing the fact that the Magic lost to this reason. And once again, I will say, yes, MLW is not a career. I'm not trying to resent Grant Miller or any of the other players that missed in any sort of way. It is completely understandable. It just sucks that this team happened to have a lot of players this year that had things to take them away from the game, whether they were fortunate or unfortunate. It does just suck. Like John Paul Gunn getting into an accident before the last series. Obviously, we pray for him. We hope he's all right. But also, you know that John Paul Gunn would have loved to be there. So it's just one of those things that, you know, really sucks. Jack Agner missing that out-of-state series. It hurts this team, right? Even though Jack Agner isn't the player he used to be, he can still be a spark plug in that lineup, and I actually feel like he is one of the best leaders in the league. And then not having Brady Pearson in that out-of-state series, a Rookie of the Year contender, one of the best hitters, in my opinion, in the whole league, right? He made the All-Star game just for hitting, so that's not crazy to say that. Brady Pearson can really hit that ball. In the Mallard series, they were completely avoiding him, so yes, these are really big losses for the team. Another thing you have to look at too is Trevor Bonham. I mean, he wasn't there all year. Is he even still on this team is a big question to ask. Guys like Jordan Curry. Yeah, Trevor Bonham and Jordan Curry aren't even close to being all-stars or anything like that, but they would have helped this team out in either that Mallard series or Trevor Bonham in that Cobra series. They would have been pretty big. And I'm just saying that for the Magic to have these players that just didn't really show up at the end of the season, it completely destroyed their playoff hopes. There is more to it than that. There were times where they just didn't play well, but if you look at the scores of each game, I'll put them on the screen right now, they were all relatively close, and a couple of them came down to some really last-second moments. For example, Drew Davis getting that like 9th inning run into home at the end. You know, if the Magic would have just had one more hit, maybe they win that game, or AJ Ackerman crossing the plate, and then somebody, I think it was Brendan Jorgensen, threw him in. So then there was that game, and like once again another overtime extra innings game. So there was a lot of times where this team was facing close games, and even if they just had a guy, right? We saw on the Pipe It Up podcast, if you guys don't know, Jack Agner said that AJ Ackerman was battling through an injury in this Mallard series, and that's why he didn't look very fast on the base pass. If he was battling an injury and this Magic team had another player, they could have put in a pinch runner to get to that pace maybe a little bit faster than AJ Ackerman did. I mean, if you watch the replay of that, I'll put it on the screen right now, you could see he is just not running very fast at all. I mean, he definitely looks hurt or just not into it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I have for today's video. You know what they say, availability is the best ability, and I think that is the theme of today's video. But who knows, maybe the Cobras go out and win 2-1 and the Magic find themselves in the playoffs off of a stroke of luck. I just think it's never really the best idea to put these things in another team's hands, and that goes without saying. I know this team tried to win. I know this team fought to the death. They might have just not gotten it done though, and that's the sad thing. Anyways, guys, if you guys like the video, make sure to leave a comment down below of what you thought of this year's Magic team, subscribe, and peace.